Video job interviews.
Right.
That's a whole hour plus onto itself, and it's coming, folks. We're going to be there for you in just a short number of days. But let's start with some basics, Harriet. What is different about that from a in-person job interview? That's an awfully big question, but frame it however you wish.
Well, there's plenty of help out there. Ours is coming, as you mentioned, particularly in the times we find ourselves in about video interviewing. And I would encourage all of you to either register for our session that's coming up or, go for it on LinkedIn or ExecuNet or YouTube or wherever to get some sound advice. Some of the things that you have to kind of try out, as Connie mentioned earlier, how do you look on camera? I'm having a challenge right now with this window behind me. I'm not complaining because the sun's out today in Cleveland. But, lighting, those sorts of spaces. If you're going to be doing a lot of interviewing, you may find that you have to set up somewhere in your home or in your office that's sort of your go-to place with the proper lighting and background and so on, number one. Secondarily, and I feel right now that I'm speaking very slowly for me, but there sometimes is that delay, and you do want to make sure that people understand you. You may need to check in periodically to make sure that they're getting the kind of information they need or if they need any additional clarification. So that also becomes important. I have to tell you a real quick funny story. I told Connie this yesterday. I was speaking with one of our members, and she was telling me the company actually sent her advice for being interviewed via video. And it was a lot of things we've just touched upon, but also being fully dressed, just in case you have to get up for any reason. You know how sometimes the newscasters are dressed from sort of the
Wait,
bottom
let me
up.
check. Okay, I'm good. I am good. Thank you.
Got your pants
But
on?
so they're doing the interview and things are going well, and all of a sudden the interviewer got up. This is the person who would be hiring her, mind you, and immediately it was obvious that he had on like athletic shorts and his button-down shirt was unbuttoned on the bottom. And all of a sudden she saw the hallway, a picture, a ceiling. So clearly he was on the move at that point, as opposed to pausing and saying, I got to go get water or whatever, and then back down the hallway. And then finally he settled. And mind you, the camera's moving all this time. And when he finally sat down, it was really obvious that he had moved to his bedroom and he was sitting on his bed. And she said, I felt so uncomfortable with this interview. And I'm thinking, well, clearly the recruiter needed to send you the video tips. So it's a funny story, but it's a good story, I think, to be mindful of those things that you don't even think about. I mean, those of us like me who work from home, I use my entire house sometimes when it's just me and the phone or me and the laptop, just for a change of scenery. But when it comes to interviewing, presenting yourself, and so forth, being very mindful of some of that is very important.
Body language can be so telling when you're in a physical interview. When you're in a video job interview, what are some of the challenges and opportunities that we need to seize in order to help people experience us?
Well, it certainly
Is it my
voice.
turn?
I'm sorry?
I just was saying you're really depending upon vocal communication and your voice, and so your tone, your enthusiasm, your eye contact, even though it's kind of a little off because it's that green dot or camera that your eye contact goes to, but all of that becomes important. I tend to talk with my hands. Right now, my hands are folded in my lap because if I start talking like I usually talk, that's very distracting in an interview. I'm sorry, Connie, I think I cut you off.
No, I didn't know if Tony had tossed the ball to me. I'm not really, wasn't really sure. I think we've all seen that video that went viral from a couple of years ago of a man being interviewed on the BBC, and his kids came into the room, and then his wife came dashing in to try and scramble the kids out of the room, and he was all embarrassed. But if you're doing a video interview at home, remember that. It's a great lesson in locking the door. And this last week or so, a lot of the reporters who are normally on screen in a studio are reporting from home. And I've gotten some great tips looking at where they choose to sit, how they position themselves, how they get decent lighting. And even if you have to move lamps around or something in your house for a video interview, it's worth it. It makes a huge difference if someone can clearly see your face or if they can't. So it's common sense and the pacing of your language and using gestures sparingly. Like every once in a while, you want to use your hands, but don't have them out in front of you. Like, God, look how big my hand looks, right? But you can do something like, great to see you, nice to meet you, just to show that you're not a talking head. And put animation in your face and in your voice, and it'll be just like you're sitting there.